Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me. Good morning. It's Thursday. I keep thinking it's Friday, which used to be devastating back when I was working, when I would wake up and think it was Friday and it was actually Thursday. Now it's not so devastating now that I'm medically retired. So we have now unearthed another positive thing about being retired. So it's always good when I find something positive about being medically retired by force, not by choice. So let's see. Secondly, I have been having some freaking disturbing dreams lately, and I just want to say it out loud and put it out in the universe, and hopefully they will stop. But they are about my husband, and they are about him finding another person, another love of his life. And it has been really disturbing, not just a little bit, but really disturbing and really vivid. And I don't know if I know I'm not the only one who will sometimes have a disturbing dream about their significant other. And then you wake up and look at them and you're like, it's so real. And you have to like remind yourself, no, that was just a dream, or you're pissed off. And so that's been happening. I haven't been pissed off, but it's so vivid that when I look at him, I'm just like, I can't believe you would do that to me. You know? So anyway, hopefully by saying it out loud, maybe it's done. Maybe the dream is done. Okay. So the topic of the day today is learning how to stay present no matter what. So I hear in my meeting all the time, there's some people that like when they say hi, I'm Rachel, I'm an alcoholic, they say, and I cannot drink no matter what. I can't drink no matter what. And so I'm hearing that like every day. And I think, well, what do you do? It's not just I can't drink no matter what. There's a lot more to it. What do you do instead? So the non-negotiable truth is that I can't drink no matter what. So drinking is no longer one of the options. What do I do instead? Because every difficult moment eventually comes down to that question. What do I do? I need to, do I escape or not escape? Okay, that's like probably the first question that an alcoholic asks themselves. How can I get out of this? How can I escape from this problem? So sobriety isn't just not picking up a drink. It's learning how to live in a new way. It's learning how to not escape, really. I think that it's human to want to escape. It's human to want to find relief from emotional pain, from stress, from grief, from fear. And I think just that exhaustion of feeling something so immensely and for long periods of time sometimes if we don't look at our problems uh face on, I don't know what face to face, head on, there we go. If we don't look at our problems, sorry, I'm having word difficulties. If we don't look at our problems head on, the problems last longer. This is what I have found. The problems last longer, and it becomes exhausting to continue to hold on to that. So the antidote to that is to escape. So, but I believed that when I drank alcohol, I was solving my problems. I mean, I see now that that was very wrong and I was not solving it, but I was escaping from it. I didn't understand that at the time. Um, I didn't want to feel the feelings anymore. It was too exhausting to feel the feelings. I was constantly in fear and I was constantly shaking. I was trembling always. I always say, I had enough anxiety to power a city. Yeah, because I was just constantly trembling underneath my skin. Um, by not drinking, it doesn't mean that I don't get overwhelmed sometimes. Um, for example, okay, this may seem trivial, but it's the best example I can think of right now. We had a storm on, I don't know what day it was. Oh, yeah, I do. It was Monday night. We had a storm here. And my new neighborhood has these just incredibly tall trees. I don't know what kind of trees they are. I probably need to look it up so I can talk intelligently about it. But they are like the highest trees I've ever been around. And so when we have a storm, like there's debris every time. And it was a really bad storm. So the trees were like blowing from side to side. Like the top of the trees, I said, were to my mom, like they were blowing like 20 yards from left to right. I think that's my estimation. It could have been more than that, less than that. But you get my point. Like it was scary. I had to stay away from the windows and I sat on the couch with the puppies. So as a result of the storm, part of a tree fell on our neighbor's deck and they have a deck coming off of the front of their house so that they can overlook the water. That's neither here nor there. But the part of the tree fell on the house. So the next day, surprisingly, these tree remover people came and they started chopping down several trees. And two of them almost look like they're in our yard. And apparently they're not. Apparently they are in the easement between our yards. But it caused a little bit of stress because I was telling my husband last night, I think, so we have, I think PTSD from our last house where when we moved in, there were all these trees behind us in the easement. So we didn't have any control over the trees. And year by year, slowly, the trees died behind our house. And those trees separated our view so that we didn't have to look inside the neighbors' houses behind us. We were in one of those townhouse communities where they're built so closely that when I'm standing in my kitchen, I can actually see into the neighbor's kitchen. So once removed the trees, we could see into the neighbors. Like it was a totally different feeling outside when you go out on the deck. It's not like you're just looking at trees. Now you're exposed. I felt like I was in a fish tank. So now we're in this house, and I think we're triggered because we're thinking, okay, we're surrounded by trees again. And like, what if year by year all these trees get taken down and we don't have any control over it? So I'm feeling stress, okay? And every time I look outside, so they've been out there for the past 2 days, and I'm betting they're going to be back again today, removing these big, gigantic trees. So now, when we look at our neighbor's house, it's not blocked by trees. It's like the same thing that happened at the other house, and it's triggering me a little bit. So I said to him last night, I was like, every time I look outside that side of the house, which I never really look outside the house on that side. But when I do, because now I'm forced to, because I'm agitated, when I look over there, I like start feeling, I feel stress. I feel physical symptoms of stress because this is happening and it's outside of my control. And I think that's important to note. So, what I determined in our conversations is, those trees, they're so tall that they're just trunks. There's nothing real, there was no foliage that was necessarily blocking our view from looking at the neighbor's house, but there was this like divide. It felt like a divide, and now that is gone. These two trees, they're gone now. The trunks are gone. So it's just like, okay, there's the neighbor's car. Like I could reach out and touch the neighbor's car when before there was a tree trunk in the way. So it felt like it just felt like I wasn't so close to them. There was a visual divide that caused me to not look past the tree trunk. Anyway, what I was trying to reassure myself yesterday, I'm like, we have total control over this. We actually have a yard now, so we can plant new evergreen trees and plant them all along the side so that we have not just a tree trunk, but we have a visual like fence line of evergreen trees. So this is a situation where I would want to escape the issue. I would want to just don't look over there. Just shut the shades on that side of the house and just ignore ignore it. I mean, like I said, this is kind of a weak example, but um, looking at the problem and being solution oriented in my mind is a different perspective on life since I stopped drinking. So there's this difference between wanting to escape and wanting relief from emotional pain. Escape is like, I don't want to feel this. I want to make this disappear. I can't handle reality. I can't do this. And honestly, as simple as my example is, when I was drinking, I wouldn't have done anything about that. I wouldn't have even thought to plant some trees. I would have just drank and that nothing would have ever changed. And today, like finding a healthy relief for stress or fear or anything is to first acknowledge that you're feeling it. This hurts. And I wouldn't have even acknowledged that I was feeling anything. I would drink before I even had a chance to acknowledge that something was hurting. Um, then the next healthy response is how can I lower the pressure so that I can deal with it? And it's almost looking at it like a pressure cooker. So imagine a situation like a pressure cooker, and that pressure naturally builds up. Um, and I need to release some of the steam. Um, Releasing some of that steam can be done in my life through healthy coping. So drinking would have just blown the lid off of the cooker, and just made a big fat mess. Alcohol didn't solve the problem, you know. Um, it really just postponed reality. Um, our problems will wait patiently for us. And that's why I just love what I heard in one of my meetings once about just put your problems on your nightstand, they'll be there when you wake up. And I was like, well, what if I forget the problem and I don't solve it? Well, if I forget the problem, clearly it wasn't that much of a problem. Our problems wait patiently for us. Um, if I avoid a problem, it usually gets bigger. And then I have two problems. I have the original issue, and then I have the guilt, the shame, the consequences of ignoring it. Um, Alcohol didn't remove the suffering, it just delayed it. So healthy release, a healthy release. So relief, sorry, healthy relief by releasing the pressure um, creates a pause. I was gonna say so much more, but I just realized in this very moment it creates a pause. That's what it does. So it's it's not forgetting my problems temporarily. It's not like I have a problem and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go get a massage. Or I have a problem, I'm gonna go pick up a drink. I have a problem, screw it, I'm gonna go to Cancun. Um, it's actually finding a way to get calm so I can deal with my problem wisely. Um, I think the best example for me that I have used even since I moved into the new neighborhood is going for a walk. That would be the greatest way that I can release the pressure in the pressure cooker because and sometimes it does feel like I'm walking away from the problem. But when I'm walking, I'm thinking about the problem. I'm not going for a walk and putting my audiobook on. I'm going for a walk and I'm thinking in an environment where I can't do anything about the problem for the moment, but I can think. I can think through the problem. So I think that is a simple difference between avoidance and releasing pressure in the pressure cooker is going for a walk without my phone, going for a walk, and just creating time, creating more time to deal with the problem thoughtfully. So, other ways of facing a problem without trying to escape, so releasing the pressure in the pressure cooker is prayer, meditation, talking to another alcoholic. Um, Something similar to walking would be working in the garden or doing yoga. Uh, I try to do something that's a little mindless so that I can focus on the problem. So like painting. Um, I think what's out for me is listening to music or listening to my audiobook. Maybe journaling is a good way to create that pause, create the time between the the initial whatever event and my response to it. Um, there's one time in the past 6 months and I would have thought that this was escape, and it felt like escape when I was doing it, but I was really upset about something. and I wanted to react. And instead, I laid down and I took a nap. And to me, that feels like escape. But like when I look at it, it feels like escape. But what happened was when I woke up, I had a new perspective. And honestly, I didn't really sleep soundly during that time like I usually do. I I think I was laying there almost in a meditative state. I think that's what I was doing. I think I drifted in and out, but what it did was it created a healthier frame of mind. I think it was a way of releasing some of that pressure. So what I think is important is when I'm facing a problem or when I have a problem and I'm choosing whether I'm going to face it or not, I need to ask myself, like, what am I really feeling? Like, what is being triggered? What am I afraid of? What what need of mine is not being met? Am I exhausted? Am I resentful? Am I fearful? Am I sad? Am I lonely? Um, is my craving for if you have a craving for alcohol, it's even more important to acknowledge that halt, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Um, am I feeling like I need to escape from an uncomfortable emotion? Um, it's only when I take that time to look inward and acknowledge what is actually going on between my ears because I cannot know. I can feel feelings and be like, I don't even know what I feel right now. It feels like anger. But when I actually look at it a little longer and without escaping, I allow myself to be present and look at it, I'm actually afraid. You know, that's actually the real problem. And that's when I can address the actual need. So the answer, the answer is not to necessarily face the solution, like implement the solution immediately. So not escaping doesn't mean, well, I got to do something about it right this very second. It's not I either escape or I take action towards the problem. There's also that period of releasing the pressure. And I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make. If you're wondering what's your point, Rachel, that's the point that I'm trying to make is there is a space between that we can create before making a difficult phone call or having an honest conversation with my neighbor about the tree, which we did. And it's nobody's fault, it's Mother Nature, right? But um, there is a better conversation that can happen when I release some of the pressure first by doing whatever it is that I need to do. Look at the problem, not try to escape it. Um, Many things we try to escape can actually become much smaller when we release some of the pressure before we act, before we take that action. So sometimes it's just rest. Um, if I'm feeling too overwhelmed, what is a decision that I can make right now? What's the next right thing to help me calm down first? And then I can return to it. I'm not avoiding, I'm making a wise decision. if you will. So I think the goal in not in working to not avoid things is not immediate action. Um, we're never going to feel this constant comfort, this constant like recovery from alcoholism does not promise a painless life. Um, it promises a life that where I no longer have to abandon myself whenever life becomes uncomfortable. That discomfort is temporary. And running from the discomfort keeps me trapped in it. And walking through it makes me stronger and wiser. It goes back to the serenity prayer. Um, Through these experiences, that's how I gain the wisdom. Um, I can stop asking, how do I get away from this? And start asking, how do I move through this? And that shift changes everything. I discover through that experience that I'm stronger than I thought, that feelings are temporary and they always pass. And difficult seasons eventually end in that wisdom. Every challenge I face sober becomes evidence that I can handle the next thing in front of me. And healthy release of pressure before I take an action gives me resilience and strength. Um, I used to be convinced that alcohol was the solution and that I needed my problems to disappear. It was the only way. I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't strong enough to handle them. So I just kept escaping. And when I look back at everything that I was escaping, like imagine that pressure cooker. Like I feel like that's what happened. Like I did blow a top. I did. And there was food everywhere. And today, like I know when to push the release valve. And every time I stay, I become a little bit freer. My problems don't seem so overwhelming when I start handling them. I no longer look at life as something that I need to survive. It's uh, it's something that I live through, and it's joyful. And that's all I got. Thanks so much for listening, and I will talk to you next time.